Welcome to the Creative Play and Podcast Network. Join us as we share our favorite RPGs, one-shot games, tabletop games, reviews, and convention panels. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, assigned to Ragnarok Story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and RPGpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
All right,
It
so
must be Saturday night.
at the risk of losing any of you, you are in the building creative business tools you can use. So if that is not the panel you intended to be in, please don't leave. We will change the panel to whatever you want it to be.
There are few enough of you. This works as a democracy.
Yes. So let me go ahead and just start with the introductions of the panelists. My name is Bob Nelson. I own a publishing company called Brickgate Media, and I will turn it over to my guy here.
I'm David Lee Summers. By day, I write television. It's Saturday night.
Did you go to the cheese and wine party?
I did, as a matter of fact.
And they gave you extra wine, didn't
They did.
Itty cups of it.
You have to drink an awful lot of that to start doing like I am.
Challenge accepted.
And the panel is off track already. Continue, David.
Okay. I write science fiction, fantasy, and horror, and I'm also one of the owners of Hadrosor Productions, a small press, and the special does print and audio books, and by night I operate telescopes at Kippy National Observatory.
He doesn't have a day job. He's a night job.
Yeah,
Well, writing's my day job.
I know.
Yeah.
Isn't that fascinating?
I'm Brenda Huettner. Huettner, it doesn't.
You're Brenda.
I'm Brenda. I'm just Brenda.
Just Brenda.
Brenda exclamation point is what I meant to
In
tell
script.
You should
but
know
I
that.
am a writer. I've been 40 years as a tech writer and have recently been doing a lot more fiction and poetry and other things. I also started a very small press of my own called Prince of the Road Press, but we only publish stuff I write. So
That's one way to go.
yeah, it works. And that started with, that's not really true. We published a book that my husband's grandfather had written and never got published. And that was the inspiration for the press. But having done that, now I've got ISBNs, I've got all the business rules. And my husband and I also run a pretty popular microwave engineering website. So that requires all kinds of administration and attention and every other thing. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm Sharon Skinner. I've been writing all my life, and I wanted to be a writer when I grew up. And one day I woke up and I said, "Oh, I'm a grant professional. I write grants for a living." That's not what I meant. So I set out to, and that it does not mean to say that I didn't write along the way and all the really angsty poetry as a teenager that my mother thankfully burned it when I left home, and that I haven't been published across poetry and short stories, but I decided that I really wanted to be a fiction writer, and I focused on that. So I now have 9 books published in fiction that are novels, 2 picture books, 2 collections, including Blood from a Rose, which is available in mostly books here at the festival, so you can buy this, and a few other things. But I also run a small business as a book coach and freelance editor. So I have tools that I can offer in that realm as well.
So let's actually just kind of kick it off with a little bit of what each of you kind of thought this panel was inferring from its title. So we kind of huddled up outside and we were kind of like, hey, what do we want to talk about? I got the impression that this was tools that we would be able to utilize, or at least share with you guys, in running the business side of being a writer. So especially if you're a self-published writer, where you don't necessarily today have all that infrastructure available to take care of those things. So I kind of just give everybody a chance to kind of talk to that a little bit.
Yeah, and I think for me, the idea I came with was, I think it's really easy in this day and age, especially if you were thinking about being a self-published writer, or if you're thinking about going into writing, you think I can open up my Amazon account, I can toss my Word file up on Kindle, and they'll start sending me money, and that's how it works. And I sort of saw this panel as advice for how to start thinking about this as a business, how to start kind of organizing yourself, and where you can kind of go. So I think we're much on the same page, but you were thinking much, I think, a little more specific tools. I'm thinking a little more big picture. But
I'm thinking something entirely different.
Okay.
Because my first reading of the title, I thought, well, as a writer, you have a lot of administrative things, even if you're not running a publishing business, about managing submissions and calls and all the things that need attention beyond what I need to do, like if you're using Word or Notes or whatever else your tool is for actually writing. There's a lot of other tools that you need, or that can be very helpful, just in the business of being a solo writer submitting things. So that was sort of the plan. But these are great too.
And I can talk about that as well.
Well,
I've done submissions.
There's nothing wrong with covering all that ground.
And I'm thinking about resources and things that I can refer you to that will help you to do all the things that were just discussed, and things that I've tried and that are working, or that maybe not working for me, that can pass on to you. So that's kind of where I'm at, and it's the things that I counsel my clients with, the kinds of things that I pass on to them as a book coach and an editor, the resources and tools that I offer to them that they may not be aware of. So there may be some things that I can share that you're not aware of yet, hopefully that you're not aware of yet, that this will be value added, that I can offer to you as resources and tools that will help you as an authorpreneur.
So obviously we are here for you guys. So what do you guys want to know?
What are you
about?
expecting?
Yeah, where would you like to start?
Yeah.
What will serve?
Anyway.
Don't be shy.
Well, all right.
David doesn't bite.
Unless you pay
On
me.
the other hand,
I'm shifty. I'm shifty.
Well, if you pay me enough, I'll
Yeah.
but that's part of
If you give him enough of those little wine bottles.
Can't be coerced.
So Bob, have you been reading his vampire novels? Is that why you keep talking about?
Well, you are getting into horror a lot more of late. Well,
A little bit of vampire stuff going on.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
So I am, as I think all of you know, I've got 3 novels out, and I'm in the process of getting a 6-book nonfiction series out. And so it's going through the editing process with a professional editor right now. So the thing that I'm looking at is, how do I reach the audience? Because the audience is people like us, it's other writers, but folks who are looking for either someone to work with as a critique partner or a critique group or site or whatever, and or how to actually do critiques or working with other writers in some sort of critique setting. So I part of the research that I did was for identifying social media-based critique groups, which are largely on Facebook and Reddit. So now the question will be, how do I reach them to let them know that the books are available, so that start to generate interest in let's say.
So talk to me about your experience on Reddit. What's your experience been on Reddit? 'Cause
I
I'm
really
going to
don't.
share mine after you
Okay,
share yours.
I have, my grand total experience on Reddit is going out and looking for these kinds of groups.
Uh-huh.
I have not actively engaged with any. It's just been a matter of what groups are out there and which of these, because there are a bazillion Reddit groups out there, but which are the ones that actually focus on doing critique, where they're taking in work and other people are reading and commenting.
So my experience with Reddit is extremely draconian, and if you go on Reddit with the intent of just basically, hey, I've got this, I want you to buy it, or I've got this, I want you to engage with this, you're gonna get, I don't want to say shunned, but you will definitely be heavily moderated out of those communities. Reddit, very, very much more than any other social platform, has active moderation. You can go on Facebook all day long, post in groups. Typically no one's going to shut you down. You're going to be fine. But Reddit prides itself very much on its sort of elite status in group talk. I can't tell you the number of times that I have posted things on Reddit and gotten moderator notes that say, hey, this is not quality content. And I thought it was pretty quality content, but that's okay. It is what it is, right? They are actively looking at that content and saying this content does not enrich this group. So in that regard, Reddit is a means to an end, right? You've got to give to get.
Right.
So your philosophy on that should be to give first before you ask to receive.
Right.
And the more you build that relationship within that group, when the time comes for you to start to introduce what you're doing to them, it's not as though you're a marketer coming in for the first time doing that. You're coming in as a member of their community, sharing what you're doing. And that changes that perception of, from the moderator side of, okay, this guy's been in this group 6 months. He's been commenting and sharing things on other people's stuff for 6 months. This is okay. We're gonna let him tell people that they can engage with this. It's just much deeper than your other platforms are when it comes to that.
If you're looking for a resource for that sort of engagement, Dan Blank offers a lot of really good information. This is what he does. He helps authors launch their books and market their books, but he also gives
totally
a ton of free
right
advice and free
There's so few
content
people that are taking away our
regarding how
chairs.
to engage. So he's a really great resource.
Okay, I've heard of it. Yeah, I know one of the key differences, in addition to what is that with Facebook you can run ads.
Yeah.
And you can target those ads to.
And you can do that on Reddit too. Reddit will, yes, you can run ads on Reddit. So that's an option.
Yeah.
It's but typically when it comes to that, it's such a they're I don't know how to quite explain it unless you live in it for a little while. You've really got to be accepted by whatever community you join before you can start to share what you're doing. And the acceptance comes from you contributing to everybody else. Whether it's the writing forum, whether it's any of the more specific little subgenres or subreddits, you got to earn your way into those groups because they will be all over you within hours. So just be aware of that.
Let's say you were told you can only use one social media platform, like to promote your books or your company, like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, whatever. What do you think would be the most effective? Only pick one.
Well, so this is an interesting twist to this panel that I was not necessarily expecting, but because it comes out of the marketing panel that I was just in before this, it's a combination of two things. One, where do you think the people are that you want to hear your message? Where do those people engage on social media? And two, where do you want to engage on social media? What is your preferred network? In the last panel, we talked about building authenticity in your marketing efforts. So if you're an independent author and you are looking to build a following for your books, you've got to be somewhere that one, the readers that like to read the books that you're writing are going to engage with your content, and you got to kind of balance that with I like this network. Like this network is appealing to me. It's easy for me to use. I can build a community here. I know how to use the features. All of those things. what will happen is a lot of times people will think they have to chase across multiple networks, and you end up investing so much energy, time, and bandwidth into managing multiple networks and multiple social media outlets that you kind of lose the point of doing it in the first place. You're working for those networks instead of working for yourself, and you're trying to create content for those networks so that people see it. And you've stopped becoming a writer for yourself. You've become a writer for 10 social media networks or whatever that is. So, be very specific and deliberate in your choices, and then dedicate the bandwidth that you want to dedicate to the channels that you've chosen.
So that means it depends.
Yeah,
and I think
it really
there,
does.
and I think there. Oh, go ahead, Brenda. I don't mean to talk over you.
Please go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think, summarizing what you're saying, I think both points to Ross and such are, it's all, you as a writer are a fan, presumably, of the genre that you're writing in. So wherever you're going to go out on social media is where you're going to be engaging with your people, whatever your people might be, whether if you write vampires, if you were drawn to write that, you're probably engaging with groups on Facebook or on Instagram or local Reddit that are that. And I think that's kind of where you're going to be engaging for that kind of thing and actively drawn to have those discussions. Steampunk. You might be on a steampunk board somewhere and talking about that.
Oh.
Those are the places to start thinking about reaching out to people and letting them know that you have it. And it should be an organic thing, like you said. It shouldn't just come off as, hey, I joined your group. Let me tell you about my wonderful book that I want you all to buy, because that's going to go down dead wrong no matter what platform you're on.
I think what happens is that what's happened over the years is that we keep forgetting there's a social aspect to social media. Mm-hmm. The social piece is that part where we're supposed to be engaging. And it's real easy to get so spread that you can't socially engage with the crowd that you are on social media with. And you end up just posting things. And you're just posting things. You're not actually engaging. It's not social anymore. And that can become problematic because then you're just part of the noise.
So for one of my audiences is seriously microwave engineers, right? So this is a particular subset of engineers, but they do not go on Facebook. Generally speaking, they have no interest in Facebook. They've never heard of Twitter. Half of them don't have smartphones. It's the craziest thing. But they will come to my website. So we have to make sure that that website is engaging, that it's got new content regularly, and that we do a push out to them. They're like, oh, I didn't know you had new content. Well, sign up for our newsletter. We will tell you when we have new content. So
how do you talk to them to let them know you have a website, let alone you have an update?
So this particular website's been around for quite a while now, and mostly they find it because of our content. So we have keywords, we have content.
Oh,
somebody's
search.
Looking. Yeah, they initially found us there. We also do an in-person conference every year for that market. Can you picture 20,000 microwave engineers in one giant room with all the liquor they can drink? It is chaotic, but it gets our name out there. So we're in, I work the booth or whatever, and that helps. And we also answer questions on other boards. So we don't say, oh, come to my website and find out. We say, here's the answer to your question. Love and kisses, Brenda at Microwaves 101. Right? They go, oh, Microwaves 101. Wonder what that is. And then they come over to us. There was actually a Reddit issue a little while back where they were kicking out moderators and all of Reddit was just in an uproar. And somebody told us that on the Reddit electrical engineering board, somebody said, hey, you guys, if we're looking for a better place, let's all go over to Microwaves 101. Because we do have a discussion board. It's very underutilized. But we then, signed up for Reddit and said, sure, you're all welcome, to respond to that. But we never went over there and said, hey, come over to us, because they had a home. You know what I mean? We were aware of their interests already.
When you have people coming to your site, do you ask them to sign up for your newsletter before you give them something, or you give them something first and then encourage them?
It is an online encyclopedia of microwave engineering knowledge, free and open for anyone to use, with no requirements of any kind. No firewall, no sign up. They want to sign up, they're welcome to. If they come to our booth at an in-person event like this, and they want the, Microwaves 101 beach ball, we make them sign up.
Right.
Give me your email and sign you up.
Yeah.
But we don't have any, that's why we have 30,000 visitors, but only 2,500 sign up for the newsletters.
But if you give things to people, if you give them information, if you share with them additional content, if you have things to offer, they will start to show up. If you build it, they will come, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And on my coaching site, I have a lot of free content about writing and the craft of writing and things like that. I offer a lot of that stuff out for free. I do have a pop-up that says, hey, I'll give you even more if you sign up for my newsletter, because my newsletter has additional content that I don't give for out on the website, but it doesn't cost anything except your email address, right? So, but that's really bringing people in one at a time to the website. Or I have a Substack now. If you're a writer and you're not familiar with Substack, I think you should get familiar with Substack, because it is a place where writers are converging now. A lot of us are going there. Blue Sky is the new social media for like Kidlit, but on Substack, you're finding a lot of writers who are going to Substack, joining. It's free. You can blog there. And what's nice about it is that I put the same blog posts there that I do on my website, and now I have people referring my blog to other people. And I'm starting to gain traction there. And then there are people who have paywalls on Substack. You can do that. I don't do that, because really I'm there because I want to drive people to know who I am, to both my coaching and my author site. So that's why I'm there. So my content there is thoroughly free. But it's another place where writers are moving. We're shifting all over. We're trying to find new homes, because Twitter ain't it. Threads isn't quite gonna get it for us. Mastodon made my head hurt. It's just but Substack is a place for writers.
How do you feel about Facebook and the privacy concerns?
I still like Facebook, but I don't spend enough time there. Privacy concerns, I carry a cell phone. I've pretty much given up all the concerns I should have about privacy.
Have you ever run into anything that is like a red flag for that sort of thing?
The fact that they know that if I've talked to somebody about something I might want to buy and it shows up on my
As an
Facebook
ad?
feed, as an ad, yeah, that's a little creepy.
I've heard that with Alexa.
I carry anybody who's concerned about privacy issues should not have a smartphone in their pocket. That's just, this is the guy right here that you should be the most worried about, and this is the thing that we're least worried about, in my honest opinion.
And probably the second thing is what you have on your lap
Yeah.
right there.
Right.
Didn't Eric Soon have someone take the microphone out of his smartphone, disable it, and then only use it as a phone with Bluetooth so it couldn't listen to him anymore? Wasn't that him?
It might have been, I don't know.
I didn't hear that story either, but it sounds like
It
could have been.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been. If you have the engineering knowledge, you can certainly go in and disconnect something.
But did you read all the things that you signed off on when you bought your iPhone?
Yeah. Or your Google Android or whatever your
I
smartphone.
mean, we all saw 2001. AIs can read lips.
Yeah.
And honestly, if you drive down the street, there's a camera somewhere that just took your picture. It's privacy issues are something. There's a certain level of privacy theater that we perform that just doesn't really
Like taking your shoes off at the airport. Yeah, that'll make us safe.
Yeah, well, that's security theater.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, that's security theater, just like the seals on all the things in the drugstore. That's all security theater.
So let me kind of, if I may, and tell me if you'd rather go off to a different part of the yard. Share with us what you guys think about when you're thinking about, okay, I've written the book. Like the book is written. What are the tools that I need to take that and make sure that everything's accounted for when it ends up in someone else's hands? So basically that business end of that, because that's kind of some of the stuff that I think we wanted to share was kind of where do you guys see opportunities to learn more in that area?
Yeah, turning your creativity into that business, right? Because becoming an entrepreneur means you have to move from creating the product to actually selling and marketing the product.
Well, I started a website with that idea in mind that I have a book on Kindle and sort of bringing that together, like you create an interest in what you're writing, and then as you write more, build on it. And that's about as far as I've gotten.
That's a good start, though. Having a website is I think, a key thing for authors.
Just learning about it is a full-time job. So, it just can't happen overnight. It's a lot of work.
Well, that's why there's people who specialize in it, and there is nothing wrong with bringing in outside help if there's an expertise.
I do.
Yeah.
I reach out, but you have to learn what you need to know.
Yeah.
And you think you
It's
know
true.
what's going on, and then you talk to your person, like for the website. Oh no, you do it this way. So now we got to start all over for a page. It just doesn't end.
It's a journey, and there is no end to that journey, because as you go through that journey, the places that you journey through will change after you've journeyed through.
Yes, and then you
got to re-go through those again.
It's disappointing because you think, oh, if I did it this way, this would have been the right, and you can't think like that because you have to learn.
Right, and to Brenda's point, that's the whole impetus of, hey, I know there needs to be a website here, but I don't know what that means. So I need to bring someone in that is knowledgeable on websites and how to do that to support me in that piece of it.
And sometimes you go through people who don't know what they're doing, and you have to shift around, and you have to learn. You have to learn what is good to know.
Right.
So
I would say look at the websites of authors that are doing well and that you admire, and then see what the commonalities are and imitate that. Like,
well, except for this convention, I don't know that.
Well, so
that's
to
okay.
your point, and that's what I was going to say, is go out on the web and look at authors that are out there that you read, whose books that you're familiar with, authors who have websites. Some they are done through their publisher, but some have specific websites, and just start to look at what they're doing. That's a really key way to scope out the competition or the comp authors or the comp websites. We're looking at comp titles all the time. Why not comp websites? Why not comp authors, right?
I do that with publishers all the time. So
I do
I'll
it with
go through,
book coaches all the time.
Yeah, I'll scope through 10, 20 different publishers, and I'll just say, okay, I like that this publisher did. I don't like what this publisher did. I like what that publisher did. And I'll make a list of likes and things that I personally just like and don't like.
Right.
And then I'll take those likes and I'll do a deeper dive on those. And I'll see, okay, do any other authors also do this?
That had good success.
Right.
How do you know they're having good success?
Well, one, you can go on Amazon, look at the top 100 or what have you. You can literally look at the profile page for the book and see how the book is doing, at least in a very general sense.
It'll give you a number. It'll say
give
this
you a
is
number.
number 112 out of
okay.
2,000.
So
This
you
is
can
number
start to
2,000 out of 10,000.
if the author has a profile on Amazon, that makes it a little bit easier because all the books are collected together, and you can kind of just go through them and see. It gives you a baseline, right? Somewhere to start to say, okay, this person's books, they don't do so well. this person's books are doing really well. Okay, so I need to look a little bit closer at what this person does. You know, and literally use this data collection piece to your advantage. Go to that author's page and then leave that author's page and go to other parts of Amazon and see if Amazon starts advertising that author's books to you. Because if they do, and it's under the paid advertisement piece, you know that author's paying for advertising for that book. So now you're starting to get a picture of what that author's doing,
or at least their publisher,
or their publisher, right,
Yeah.
is doing to support that performance, right?
Okay, right.
So you know use a little bit of that Orwellian to your advantage, right? And start to kind of build a profile of the people that you think, okay, I like this author. I've read all their books. I want to see how they're doing. And then you start to see, okay, this is the things that they do. This is their website. This is their Amazon presence. This is their whatever presence. And this is what I like about those things. And then you can start to, in your head, start visualize what you want to see.
Now, an idea popped into my head. What if you look at somebody, you like what they wrote, you really enjoy it, and you find out they're not doing so well? What does that mean in terms of what the journey we're having?
You start to look at, again, to Sharon's point, you start to look at comps, right? So you have an author whose books you love, right? You just love to read them, but you're finding out that person's not getting a lot of exposure, right?
So you try to figure out why?
Well, or I was just going to say, more to the point, you look at other authors who are in that same genre, and you find out who is doing well.
And then try to read their
And then
book.
well, not even that. Compare what they're doing to what your favorite author is doing.
Okay.
Does this author that's successful have a YouTube channel, for example? Because I've seen a lot of authors who have YouTube channels.
What they're doing is
It's
we're not looking
impacting the
at how
sales.
good they are, or at least in your own opinion.
So
you're looking at what they're doing with what they have.
It's back to the business. That's how it works.
And that's what you need to do, is you need to do the best you can with what you have and be unique.
So there is
uniquely you in the world.
Yeah.
Because fans aren't just looking for a book. They're looking at you as you are the commodity to some extent.
Right, and you don't want to be writing to copy someone.
Yeah.
There is a tool out there called SimilarWeb.com, and what it does is it allows you to pull up the profile of a website. So you'll see how that website does on SEO, you'll see how that website does on rankings and blah, blah, blah. And then you can compare that to other websites.
So this is terrifying because I'm thinking somebody's going to do that to me.
They probably already have.
You should do it to yourself.
You should do it to yourself.
Yes, I cannot tell you how many book coaches have similar language to my book coaching website. Do I care? No, because my flavor is all over me. My personality is all over my website.
It's probably too
and
early.
And my SEO is golden.
But it's too early in the process. It's
cute.
like when you first get a critique, you freak out. And then you learn to deal with it. You learn to do your own critiques. And I understand that process. But I realize that the first steps, when you're taking these kinds of steps, it's going to be scary.
Yeah, and
embarrassing. It's going to be embarrassing.
You could only hope that you get to a point where people are emulating you.
Oh yes.
Right?
Oh yeah.
So-
that would be fine.
So the bottom line on that is that we yes, you're right. If you first find out, I'm not doing so good. If you don't give yourself that, you're never going to get better.
Yeah. Oh,
If you don't pull that Band-Aid off and say, you know what, I
gotta
got
do
to
it. I gotta look.
I got to do this. You're never going to get better. And that's the start. That's how you know. You know what? Or you might be pleasantly surprised.
Okay. Yeah, that would be.
You know,
great.
you might. It's very possible.
What do you call that?
SimilarWeb.com.
Okay, I'll put a note in here. Similar web, because that's sounds like something you should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
This is a version of what, and I'm sure you all have heard this, what entrepreneurs get told. Fail early, fail often.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Writers get told that all the time. Write that story. Just doesn't matter if it's any good. Just write the story.
You have to iterate over and over and over in order to get to where you are doing the thing that is working.
It is so hard because that embarrassment you go through over and over again as you go into different parts of the thing.
That's cultural training, though. That's just
Yeah, I
social
know.
norming that is bad social norming,
I
right? We
was
gotta
gonna
get
say,
over that.
Why do you feel embarrassed?
Fail.
You're just trying something new.
Because I'm trying so hard to do it right. So
Ah,
I have to
there
go.
it is.
And
Yeah.
There is no right.
Yeah,
There's
you're
no
never gonna-
That's
defined
what they
right.
say. Well, right, I guess, is
It's
only judged
for
by,
you.
you know,
It's right for you or it isn't.
Yeah.
or
That's the
you're a
only thing
best-selling
you can-
author, but some people would say even that doesn't mean that you're
It's
doing
the
it
only
right.
person that you need to make happy is yourself. At the end of the day,
And if you say, oh, I'm happy if I'm a best-selling author, that's maybe.
No, I'm saying
Why?
that's the only thing that you can really point to say that you are
No.
achieving.
Know
Yeah.
your why. Why are you doing this? I'll come back to that every single
Well, I'm
moment.
doing it to keep active and to keep interested and keep my brain moving.
And there's
That's
that.
And
number
are you
one. It's
succeeding in
working.
doing
That's working very well.
Success. You are a success already.
Yeah.
Everything else is gravy.
I know
The
people.
fact that you're sitting here, the fact that you come to TusCon, that you want to talk, that you do, that outreach, that eagerness to learn is only going to serve you well in the future.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
all
you're
great.
And,
golden.
you know, if you're looking at it, you know, it's a matter of goal setting. You know, that's the big entrepreneur buzzword there, and I think that's what we're really just talking about. What makes you happy?
Yeah.
You know, do you want to make a little more? You know, maybe even take it incrementally. Not even approach it like I'm going to go out the gate as a best-selling author.
Yeah.
Maybe I
No,
just want. Maybe
you
I
know,
want to
like-
make 10% more money.
Yeah, I
I
just
want 10 more
want to have somebody
followers.
look at it and go, wow,
Yeah.
that's really good.
I want 10 more email subscribers. I want 10 more Substack subscribers. I want, it doesn't have to be grand and glorious if it satisfies what you want to achieve.
Yeah.
And that's where it's like you can look at some of these statistics we've been talking about and say, you know, let me look at someone who's getting a little more success and, you know, see maybe, and that doesn't even have to be one person. You know, you can look at like 5 or so people and see what are they doing that's maybe a little more, you know, that works with what I do, and how can I adapt that to my voice, and and here's the important part, how can I have fun with that? As opposed to how do I make this work? No, how do I have fun with this and
feel accomplished.
And feel
It's like
accomplished
learning-
while you're
learning
doing it,
something.
yeah.
You've got a great database of authors that are here at this convention that you can go back to after the convention's over. Start looking at their website, start looking at their stuff, find the things that resonate with you, because everyone should be doing what makes them happy, right? You may not want to do anything where people have a forum. That's okay. That's how you want to manage that business. You may have 100 people tell you should have a forum. If you don't want to have a forum, then don't have a forum. Just don't. Don't do what everybody tells you should do if it's not what you want to do, right?
Yeah.
But here's another thing. I would say Google your authors, your list of authors. These are the 5 people that do kind of what I do. I'd like to see how they do it, right? You don't just go to Facebook and say, oh, do they have a Facebook? Yes or no. Do they have a Twitter? Yes or no. No. You just Google their name plain and all that stuff comes up.
Yep.
Right? So you say, oh, this one's got a YouTube channel. Oh, look at that. They're over on Instagram. I didn't even think of Instagram because, it's just pictures, or Flickr, or whatever the different ones are. Clearly I'm not on any of those. But, you know what I mean? You have your authors that are in that genre, whatever your subset is, and see what range of things they're doing. And some of those will work for you and some won't. But unless you know what that full set of options is, you're kind of shooting in the dark, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I gotta do a website. Well, all right, I gotta do a website. But there's so many more possibilities.
Yeah.
And sometimes that also you find that, gee, he's doing a podcast, he's doing a YouTube, he's doing a blog, and it's like, I don't want to do any of those things, but here's what I like to do.
Yeah.
And that becomes the space you can
that
you can
becomes
find.
your
That's
space.
absolutely your space, yeah.
Yeah,
I was on that. I'm old enough.
See what's joyful.
Actually, just check my
See
line.
what feeds your soul as
Should
well
still
as
work.
advancing. I mean, that's the best advice we can give. There are a lot of resources out there for the things that you want to do too.
Well, one of the things that brought me down a little bit was I am in a meetup, and I kind of come and go because they don't want to talk about writing very much. They'd rather talk about what they did at work today. And I get frustrated with that. But there was, before the pandemic, there was one guy who had all this audio equipment, and I thought that would be so cool because he wanted to start doing something like audiobooks. And I just was like, yeah, let's look at that. And he was also a artist. He used to work for Marvel. But when I tried to ask him questions about it, he's like, well, I can't do any work for anybody because I'm too busy. It was a shutdown. It was always a shutdown. I can't do it, you know. And I run into that too. Well, I'll find somebody I'm interested, and then, no, I can't.
Did you know that you can record yourself on Zoom or Loom or any of those, take that audio, throw it into Descript, which is another, there's a monthly fee for Descript, but you can get a Zoom account for free or a Loom account for free, and then you can turn that into scripting. You can take that audio, you can take that scripting, and you can post it up as a podcast if you want to.
Or your phone.
You can use your phone. I have a Tentacle, this little lavalier thing with a recording device that I take wherever I'm doing workshops and presentations, and I record all of that information so that I can take it, turn it into a script that I can use for other things. So there are a lot of tools out there that you can use. You don't have to have fancy recording equipment anymore. It's not necessary because the cleanup on the computer is out of this world.
And honestly, you don't even need that. I have a friend literally that all he does, he takes the phone, he turns it on, he puts it here, he talks for maybe 2 minutes, turns it off, uploads the video to Facebook, doesn't edit it, doesn't do anything with it. But he takes the time to talk about what he wants to talk about, and that's how people get to know him.
And it's content. It's content that he can post out there, and people.
Do you have to connect it to your website, or how do you do it?
Well,
You can. You don't
you
have
can.
to.
I mean, how do people find and?
Well, you
How does
can get
this
a
all
free
enter
YouTube
that?
channel. You
Like
can
YouTube
create a free
Shorts is
YouTube
really
channel.
popular.
YouTube
now.
Shorts,
Pop it right
Facebook
there.
Shorts,
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
Or Instagram if you're on. If
Instagram.
that's your.
And then you
flavor.
say somehow it all comes together.
It all comes together, right?
Yeah.
So
So
you
you-
can bring those pieces together using different tools. And if you're not comfortable with how those tools work, then you can start to say, hey, I'm on Facebook. I'm going to post something on Facebook about how I've got this video and I got a YouTube channel and I've got it on my YouTube channel, but I want to embed it on my website. How do I do that? Can someone help me? And invariably, someone will step up and be like, you know what? Let's chat about it.
There's also books on that sort of
And
topic,
tutorials.
right?
And YouTube
And
videos.
tutorials and YouTube videos,
Yeah.
right? Once you know, and that's the challenge, right? Once you know what specific thing it is you're trying
Yes.
to do, then
Yes.
there's tons of ways to
But
learn
also,
about
I
that
don't
thing.
want to get a degree
Did
when
you-
when I try to start something
Yeah,
new.
the thing is too about content. You know what the majority of the content that got the biggest hits for me were things like my costuming that brought people to my website and then they saw that I had books. I read.
What you make costumes?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
So
there's-
it's the hobbies and the odd stuff that you do that may or may not be directly related to your writing, but that you may be able to tie into your writing or not. It's you. It's you being unique on your channels that brings people to find you and to follow you and to get to know you. And that is valuable.
You know, and there comes a moment where you realize you want to do a certain thing, and so you're like, hey, I don't want to be a PhD in how to do this. I just want to get the thing. Okay, so now it becomes a proposition of, am I willing to invest so that I don't have to do this, but that it gets done, right?
Yeah.
And there's no better place to find people that will give you trustworthy recommendations than an event like this, because you have a bunch of authors that are engaged in very similar activities, and they're not going to steer you wrong. And no one's going to steer you wrong here intentionally. Everyone that comes here wants to be a part of this special, well, right, you know.
That's true.
You know, everyone that comes here, they want to be a part of a group and a family, and they want to help each other out, right? We're all here to learn together. So this is a great place for you to, you know, pull Brenda aside and say, Brenda, this is what I want to do. Do you know anybody that I can talk to about this? And Brenda might send you an email and says, hey, call this guy. Tell him I told you to call. That kind of thing. You might pull David aside and say, hey, David, can you help me out? This is what I want to accomplish. And David might say, you know what? Let's talk about it more. Maybe I'll just do it for you because I know how to do it and I can do it in a matter of seconds. That's what this kind of an event can do for you is you build those relationships that you can then utilize to help you. Just as same as if somebody came up to you and said, hey, I'm having trouble in this area. Is there something maybe, do you know anybody that might be able to help me? Would you tell them no? Right?
No.
You give them the
Yeah.
person that you know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what this kind of circumstance is for. So if you're listening to us saying, post it on YouTube, embed it in your website, blah, 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 and that's all like, whoa, buddy, back up. Then wait till after the panel and talk to somebody about it and say, you know what, I got what you were saying, but that's not me. Like, I'm not that person. Do you know somebody that I can talk to about it or that would be willing to, maybe if I give them a few ducats, they would be willing to do it for me, that kind of thing. So don't be afraid to reach that moment where you're like, okay, this is an investable thing that I want to take care of and I don't need the PhD to do it, right?
Right.
Did you have a question before?
I think there are some websites that allow you to create these cartoons, you script them in these cartoon characters.
Yep.
For you. Well, they seem kind of stilted. I assume they're getting better now.
That starts to bleed into AI discussion and all of the advances.
There are apps
there.
that'll do all sorts of things. What's the app that you use for making videos of you saying things that you don't have time to videotape yourself to say, but you script it and then the video does.
Yeah, I think it's called Boolean. It was something. There is a resource out there called AppSumo, and it's basically it's a market for entrepreneurs that have created software as a service businesses of all kinds, everything from finance to media creation to whatever. And you can buy them. So you buy in at one price, so you're not paying a subscription. I hate subscriptions. And you get access to these tools. Well, one of them is basically kind of an AI thing where you write the script of what you want to say, you upload it into the software generates the person and has the person say what it is that you want them to say. And then you feed background in behind
You
that.
can put your own self in there too and it'll have you.
It's
weird. That's freaky.
It's both freaky and interesting at the same time, right? It's that kind of like, what can I
So it
do
doesn't
with
have to be a
this?
cartoon, but yes, there are those apps. I mean, there's a learning curve with everything though. That's the other thing.
Yeah.
And anytime you get an app like that, there's a learning curve with it. I'm tutorial girl. I'm like all the time, I don't know how to do this thing. I gotta go Google it.
I don't have good luck with that. I read it and it says, "Well, do this and pull this menu down." And the menu
Video
doesn't
tutorials
have
are your friend then, my dear. Video tutorials are your
Oh,
friend.
okay, because it's like
Go to
they're
YouTube and
doing
ask.
another version of what I have.
I
You know, like a word processing
Yeah,
or
no,
a
So
website.
you go to YouTube and you say podcasting software
Wow.
V2.0.
Right, be
And you will
specific,
get-
and you will
You
get
will
it.
get videos
Yeah.
of how you use V2.0 or
Yeah.
whatever.
So maybe I'm a visual learner
Yeah.
Yeah,
instead
there's nothing
of
wrong
a
with that.
text learner.
That I am,
Whatever the
when
difference.
when I work with Photoshop, I gotta go do the video tutorials.
I do training, all that stuff. I do video as well as the audio narration because I know there are people who need to see what's happening. And if you've got visual and audio at the same time, they're mutually reinforcing.
Right.
Yeah, I found that.
Yeah, use the tool that's best for your
can't just-
mindset. Right.
I mean,
You
I
can't just tell me on the phone or give me an email, it's just like I gotta see it, do it, and then tell you what I did wrong and, all that.
The great thing about it too is that you can go rewind on that video and watch it 5, 6, 7, 20 times.
Oh no, there's that. Back it up just a little bit so you can do that step again and then
Double
back.
tap actually.
Yeah, the
We'll
other
go back
thing
10
I found
seconds.
with my husband, he always wants like, bleh, and I'll be like, and then he hits all the keys on the computer, and he's like, that's what you do. And I'm like, no, that is not how we learn.
That's what
So
you do.
I invite him to a Zoom meeting, and I share my screen, and I say, what do I do next? And he goes, well, you go to that menu and you pull it down. So I go to that menu and I pull it down. And it drives him nuts because it's not.
Because it's slower.
But
Yeah.
I've done it, and I know how to do
Oh,
it.
sure.
And you can
Oh,
record
sure.
your meeting.
Yeah.
So if you can find someone who can give you tech support on Zoom and walk you through
Yeah.
it. You just invite them to that meeting and you share that screen.
And
you
record
do
that
it.
sucker.
Record it, and you record it.
Record that sucker.
That's right.
Yeah, my husband's the same way. We'll just sit down and he'll do it.
No, so
So that doesn't help
you.
at all.
It doesn't help, because the
You
next
put-
time you're stuck again, yeah.
You
right.
put him in the other room and you invite him to that Zoom
Yeah,
meeting.
Or make him sit behind me and say,
No,
okay,
no,
now
no,
you
no,
know
no.
my finger.
He's gotta be
No,
separated.
Don't do that.
Get him
Get them
separated.
separated.
Get him out of the room.
He won't have the self-control, trust me. I know.
Yep.
It's funny.
Something
Something
else?
I don't like about video tutorials, I find that all these tutorials, like the 10 worst things about Seattle or how to do this or that, is just like maybe 3/4 of the video is just empty chit chat. It's like the person, I'm gonna talk about this, but I'm not gonna talk about this. Now, this doesn't mean that this is the only way, and it's just like blah, blah,
So,
blah.
one of the problems that you find is that YouTube is looking for views of length, not just views. So they want to keep you watching for a set amount of time. And so people are now stretching out their videos longer and longer and longer.
Because they get more money.
But that's,
Sometimes.
they get more views, because they get you stuck there longer, then the algorithms will give you a higher rating. But that's where fast forward is your friend. Because it's like, let me just see how far forward I have to go to get to where
To get the
I'm
it's
real
fine.
content.
They don't mind that?
They
It's
don't.
none of their business if I fast forward that sucker.
Oh, I mean,
So-
they don't check that if you go through the whole thing and end up at the end, it's just recorded as end?
Well, I don't know about that.
Oh.
All I'm saying is if I'm looking at a tutorial and I want to get to the meat of it, I will just jump ahead.
Yeah.
I don't listen to all that garbage because I don't need all that.
And every
I
now
need
and then,
the meat.
someone in the comments will say, actual content
Yeah.
starts at 3
Yeah,
minutes.
they'll
40.
coach you. It's a team
3
effort.
minutes 40.
It's a team effort.
Yeah, it is.
I
The
can
community
totally see
loves
that.
you.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's true. I've seen it.
And
Check
Somebody
the
will say,
comments.
skip to 1304.
Yeah, and
Well,
the
they'll
worst
have-
that will usually happen is that you'll get a commercial that you have to sit until you can hit the
5
skip
seconds.
button.
5 seconds.
Or there'll be someone with a timeline of all these things.
Yes.
The how to start it is at 2 point whatever.
Yes.
How to modify it is
Yeah.
at this number.
That's very
is
helpful.
these minutes. So
That's
check your comments.
Great.
Sometimes you can
Great.
skip through the commercials if you like reload the page twice.
See, now there's a technique.
That's a
Write
good
that down. Yeah.
tip right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would take longer than the 4 seconds.
So what else?
For me, I pay for YouTube to have not commercials.
How much is that?
I don't know.
Oh.
You can pay for it.
Is
But
it
you
like
can pay
12
for it. I use it enough.
Yeah, it's like 12
Between
a month
us.
or something.
Yeah.
12,
$12
$12
a month.
something, I think.
If you use it enough, it's worth it.
And it's me and my husband share an account, so we both have different purposes, and we often use it for the microwave engineering business. So
Right.
it's
Comes out of business.
deductible.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mine
it's a
is the
business
same for a lot of
expense.
that,
Yeah.
So, okay, so we're down to about 5 minutes left.
Gosh, that
That
went
went
fast.
fast.
Time
Yeah.
for one more quick question if somebody has one.
Well, I have a question.
Yes.
Which is like, can each of you just say what is the most valuable creative business tool that you personally use?
Okay. Start at that end of the table.
Oh, okay.
One.
Just one.
Just one.
Just
Just
one.
one.
No, it's a hard question.
Yeah, it is a hard question. Well, thinking as an author, it's a tool. It's not a tool though.
Chop chop
We
cupcake.
believe. Shut up. We got 5 minutes and there's only 4 of us. If I take 2 minutes, then you all are in trouble.
And you're
But-
slowing her down.
I know.
It's a distractor.
Focus, people. Focus.
I have a lot of resources that I like to use, and I follow a number of people. I think Jane Friedman is one of my favorites. She's huge, and then Dan Blank, as I mentioned, is really great about helping you to understand how to build those, develop the marketing relationships and for authors. And so those are my 2 gurus, my 2 go-to gurus. And as far as any other tools, I pay people to do a lot of stuff. I pay a bookkeeper, I pay web people, I paid somebody to do my SEO, I pay for headshots. I value the product that I get from people. So I'm sorry, I can't nail it down to one. Go.
I have one that I use all the time, and it's going to sound weird, but it's Excel. And I use it to track things, I use it like a database, I use it for all kinds of things. I can have it by date or by, all the different things. And then I can manipulate the data in a bunch of different ways and create graphs if I want to or whatever.
What are you tracking?
Well, it depends. So I might be tracking my website. We have some 2,000 pages of content. So each page will have a line on a spreadsheet thing. I'll have what it was. Well, yeah, for that. Okay, I'll skip. Let me think. Okay, for the book I did on the 9th Air Force in World War II, right? Mm-hmm. So our audience is history people. Our audience is military and ex-military. Our audience is aviation related. So I would have lines for each of those potential markets, what I did, when I did it, what the result was, who the contact is, what their contact info is. And then I'd say, okay, I'm doing some other project. I say, just show me the people who were successful within the last 2 years of something I did. And I can sort and access it that way, for example. And I think the more I use it, the more I come up with ideas of ways to use it more. So that's mine.
I mean, I married a bookkeeper.
Okay. So this is the tool.
Yeah. But in effect, it's a variation on what Sharon said. I go to the experts for things. It's like I'm not afraid to go ask people who are knowledgeable about things to do the things. But I know my weakness is critically analyzing like performance of product as it sells, and critically analyzing sales, making sure that I know how much I need to pay people. Like if it was an anthology that I edited, I need to make sure that I pay everyone the right amount. And that again, she's using Excel. Mm-hmm. So it all kind of boils back down into that, but she's the person who I rely on to give me to get me those answers so I can do that.
One more.
And I would be with Deborah. I'm an Apple person, so I use numbers, but it's the same exact concept. I track everything from website visits to weekly book sales to social media audience to engagement with social media posts. I can tell you how many ebooks versus audiobooks in a given month. I mean, it's just a very versatile tool to give you information to act with later on.
Data.
And really the big thing about my relationship with Kumi is it's she knows how to get the numbers I want out, and it's like I know the questions to ask, and so it's that give and take in that.
All right, everybody, thanks. There's people waiting to use this room, so we are out. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you.
There might actually be this here for your audience.
Very different.
Yeah, I was going to say you're expecting.
We came and took our chairs. They were like, you don't need your chair.
How are you, sweetie?
I'm doing well.
I'm good.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Play-In Podcast Network. If you enjoyed our show, please check out D&D Journey of the 5th Edition and Ragnarok Enroll a Scion Hero to Ragnarok Story. Also, check out our Patreon page for more content and behind-the-scenes things, as well as joining us for a one-shot game or two.